Well, Commander Chakotay is back. Discovery drops a trailer for season 4. William Shatner goes to space, and Lower Decks' final episode is upon us. Hello, friends. You are watching The Main Viewer. Today, we'll be going over all the Star Trek news from New York City Comic-Con over the weekend. We'll also be taking a look at Star Trek Lower Decks Season 2 and previewing the final episode of the season, which drops on Thursday. And lastly, only if we have time, we will be unboxing the Star Trek Day trivia game the good people at Paramount Plus sent in for the big Star Trek Day event last month. So let's introduce everybody, shall we?
Yes.
First,
let's do it.
Awesome. First, our special guest, Star Trek 2009 movie, episode 3 of the Orville first season, and Wheat Thins eating champion of 1996, 1997, 1998, and 2017. Please welcome actor Rico E. Anderson.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for recognizing the years that I won everything.
The E stands for Edward Jellicoe. Also, our co-host today, she's a member of the Seventh Rule team, a host of Virtual TrekCon, and an actress, Melissa Longo.
Hello, everybody. I am not Rico E. Anderson and not Wheat Thins champion.
Yet. He's the Dean of Natural Sciences at Duke University, as well as occasional science consultant for Star Trek, Dr. Mohammed Noor.
Hello, great to see everybody, and thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure. Woohoo!
We also have writer, producer, director, and cameraman extraordinaire. He's being birthed right now out of Boimler's something or other canal. He's also graphic designer and website guy for Virtual TrekCon, Scott Baker.
Hoi, hoi, hoi. Pleasure to be.
It is a pleasure to be. So hello, everybody at home. Thank you all so much for joining in the fun. This is going to be great. First, in the news, before we get too deep into everything, Virtual TrekCon had its second Sunday mini-con a couple days ago, and it was awesome. Thank you to everybody that participated. And this coming Sunday will also be awesome, so look forward to that. We'll let you know what to look forward to on Sunday a little later in this episode. And to find out all the details, check out the link in the description box below or go to virtualtrekcon.com. You know what? We were going to talk about the news of New York City Comic-Con, but instead, we should just bring somebody on that was actually at New York City Comic-Con. There's a friend of ours named Marina Kravchuk who was actually at the event. Hello, Marina. How are you?
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
How's it going?
Ooh.
Awesome. You're wearing your Captain Proton shirt.
Of course. Got to represent.
Nice. All right. So, Marina, I don't know if you've met Scott Baker, Melissa Longo, Rico E. Anderson, and Dr. Mohammed Noor.
Well, let me just say, I have seen all of you before. As far as meeting in person, about roughly half of the crowd, yes.
Well, thank you so much for joining us last minute, Marina.
Absolutely.
Everybody at home, one of the live shows on this coming Sunday will be Marina and her partner, Jesse Okendo, as in partner on the podcast, I should say. And the podcast is called Shore Leave, and you'll be talking about all your fun experiences.
That's right.
This past weekend. But can you give us some juicy tidbits as to what you'll be covering?
Do you know, well, as it stands right now, this was the largest in-person event of the year anywhere in the world, hands down.
Wow.
You know, as we know, San Diego went completely virtual, and there's really, well, let's see, the end of the year is nigh. So New York Comic Con certainly pulled all these, pulled all the stops. The biggest 2 days were, of course, as usual, Saturday and Sunday, and that's the ones that I attended. Saturday was the Discovery Day for all intents and purposes, and Sunday was the Prodigy. And we had big panels, full representation. We had cast members, we had creatives. They finally premiered the trailer, Discovery Season 4, and they premiered the first episode, the pilot of Prodigy. So as far as I understand, the virtual panel was just Q&A, those who were able to buy the digital ticket. And the moment they said, well, we're going to watch now, everything went blank. So only those people who were there in person were actually able to witness it. And, first blush, I'm very excited. I don't have any children. There were quite a few people in the audience who did bring their children to show it off, because obviously that's the big news. Kids, show specifically geared towards children demographic. But plenty of adults. And let me tell you, judging how excited everyone was, and the applause and just general excitement atmosphere during the Q&A panel, everybody loved it. So that was wonderful. And then, of course, you have the usual Comic-Con accoutrement, the artist alley and the vendors hall, which were somewhat, I suppose sparse is a wrong word. It was a little bit emptier than normal. They did spread out the aisles. The crowds were lesser, but you still had sort of like, conventions are back. There are a lot of people where, you could see that it's, bumping into folks that you actually know through conventions, which I did. Quite a few of the usual New York regulars from various groups did show up. So it was like, we haven't seen each other basically at least for 2 years.
Right.
So that was quite exciting just to see other people. And then, of course, cosplayers and a little bit of this, a little bit of that, photo ops and autographing, of course. But those two, as far as, Trek goes, that was probably the most exciting stuff.
Okay. Honestly, right now, Marina, I would have assumed that you'd be the most excited for Prodigy because of Captain Janeway. But Rico here, I think, is actually going to enjoy it more than anybody, honestly.
That's just because
even though he's in his Star Wars background.
I know.
R2D2 tagging along.
Yes.
Excuse me while I fight the Death Star.
Yes.
And
doing a little multitasking here.
Marina, how did you feel when they announced Robert Beltran, by the way? Because you're a huge Voyager fan, right?
As you know, there were already rumors circulating after Star Trek Las Vegas, because Robert B. having a very interesting sense of humor, that very juicy tidbit during the Voyager panel. And of course, everybody just went, did he mean it? Was that a joke? What? And then this was an official confirmation, which I'm sure made a lot of Voyager heavy fans very, very happy. I'm excited. I'm curious to see what they're going to do. Obviously, he wouldn't have said yes unless there was something about the role. Even though cartoons and everything, these are serious folks. I mean, everything that's being put into these shows, it's done on such high level that I'm sure that this was a very attractive, suggestion, offer, or rather, I should say, for him to come back. I've already heard, people trying to kind of suppose well, how does he fit into this all? Because they did announce that we start out in the Delta Quadrant. So seeing that this is after Voyager and Voyager's back in Alpha Quadrant, where does Chakotay come back? And he's Captain Chakotay.
Right.
He's part of Starfleet now. So how does that all fit? So lots of discussions online that I saw already. Lots of folks excited. I'm curious to see. I'm very happy to see that Jason Alexander is going to be back with a new role. So that was
cool to see.
Yeah.
And I am wondering, how did they get David? I mean, this is like. He must be a Trekkie himself. I would think that to be interested to join the franchise, but we shall see. So lots of interesting stuff. They did a very nice Q&A after they premiered. Granted, it was very short, so they didn't have time to do a proper Q&A in the sense of the audience coming up to the microphones to ask questions. But they got Dawn Lewis, Captain Freeman, hosting the panel, and she did a wonderful job. Just basically, between introducing and she's part of the franchise, so she did her own interjections and discussions. So I'm sure those who had the virtual ticket were able to enjoy the Q&A, however short it was. It was lovely. It was absolutely lovely.
Pretty good place fans. It was nice they also had Jamila Jamil coming as well too. That was really
that's
cool.
right.
I saw her.
Right.
She tweeted about it too with a lot of excitement.
Yeah.
So Marina, because we can't ask you too many questions about this because you're going to be talking all about it on Sunday, and then it would just kind of ruin that show. But I have to know, how was the general reaction, the vibe in the room for the Prodigy first episode?
Very excited. Lots of applause. Just generally the anticipation. And I'm sure it's partly because this is the new kid on the block. This is the new show that we're getting. And probably a little bit of like sort of like, hey, we're getting to see this 3 weeks ahead of the entire world, probably thrown in. And just generally, they did introduce everyone who was going to be there. Well, they mentioned who was going to be there, and then they all came out after the premiere was over. So that was the excitement that there was. The actors were actually part of this whole experience. Kate said something along the lines that she was basically almost tearing up actually watching this. Very few people had seen apparently the finished project, only like the core production crew. Lots of applause, lots of excitement.
Nice.
I can't compare it to Discovery because it's an unfair comparison. Like there was lots of love and lots of screaming and applause when they premiered the trailers. Actually, Wilson Cruz made them roll it again because there's just so much packed into the Discovery trailer. And then Prodigy was like, it was great. So I anticipate that lots of people are going to enjoy this. I think kids are definitely going to enjoy this because it's a good introduction to all the characters. Or I should rather say most of the characters, because obviously, they're out there in Delta Quadrant.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I was just wondering, would you say that it's obviously geared towards kids, but would you say that it's definitely an equal combination of geared towards kids, but definitely catering to the Trekkie and all of
I think so. I think so. I mean, the way the Hageman brothers were introducing it, they said, this is not like, you don't have to think about this. Oh, it's just kids only. It's a very smart approach to doing this the way that the entire family would appreciate. You can sit down together and watch it. It's not just like, a 5-year-old kid or a 10-year-old kid and nobody else cares. You can sit down and, a grandmother can sit down and watch it. I happen to love cartoons. I thought it was great. So I think this is good because everyone's gonna find something in it. As far as Trek, again, I don't want to spoil anything. So they're starting out with introducing the characters. So the moment it all starts, getting into, we actually see, say, Janeway in action, that sort of thing. I'm sure there's going to be, more and more Trek things, I suppose. At this point, it's like they all kept repeating the same thing. The show is about finding a way of working together. So, and there are a couple of moments in the pilot where it's like, it's right in your face, sort of.
That's what our show's about. So, Melissa and Scott were going at it right before we went on the air. It was crazy. So,
of course aggressive. I won.
Scott was crying.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
Avenge my honor in battle.
We've got a lot of things now to discuss. So everybody at home, check out Marina and Jesse on Shore Leave this Sunday. Mm-hmm. They're going to go much more in depth and talk about it for about an hour rather than just giving us the quick cliff notes. So everybody check that out. You can find that on virtualtrekcon.com. And Marina, thank you so much for jumping in last minute and giving us something to talk about for the next hour.
Of course. My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Talk soon. Okay. Thank you, Marina.
All right. Talk to you later. Keep tracking, everyone.
All right.
Wow, that's a lot of stuff, you guys. We have
lucky was
so much to discuss. She's still lucky. Oh, I thought she was hanging out longer. All right. Well, where do you guys want to start? You want to start with, how about Commander Chakotay is back. How excited are you?
Right?
Captain.
I don't know. Is it Captain?
Yeah, he's a captain.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too.
I'm excited because obviously it became all good after Voyager came home. Like a lot of people were wondering, oh, what happened to the crew? Did they get court-martialed, or was there a trial, or were they all pardoned because of everything they were going through? And maybe some stuff did happen, and it would make a great storyline in some way, shape, or form. But in the end, it was obviously recognized that Chakotay, did some bomb-ass stuff, and he was recognized for it. And I'm sure Janeway was just like, yo, if anybody should be the captain of this ship, if I'm going to get promoted to admiral, it should be this guy. Screw what he did, So,
and also, I think one of the points that have been brought up before about some of the characters in Voyager that didn't really get their justice, as far as Chakotay being one of these that didn't really get to he had the what his character could have been, and then what they actually did with his character over the show. And maybe this might be an opportunity to add a little bit more to the Chakotay character and give him a little bit that they didn't do throughout the Voyager show.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Do we know that it's actually Chakotay per se, or not, and not like another hologram that something like the Janeway one?
That's a good question.
I don't think
To some extent, maybe it's just a hypothesis of somebody made another program of Chakotay, kind of like that one episode of Voyager where they had the Maquis taking over the ship. Maybe somebody got something like that.
That's what I assumed. I assumed it was just going to be like another hologram or something like that, because do we even know where this takes place? I guess I just naturally assumed that it was going to be somewhere super far away from the Federation. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm totally wrong there. But if it is, then Chakotay, Captain. Well, hang on a second. Do we know if he's Captain Chakotay in the Federation?
That's what I was about to say.
Or if he's Captain Chakotay of the Nyberide Alliance, for example.
Right.
Oh.
Does it
What if
necessarily
it's-
mean he's the captain of in Starfleet?
What if it's Chakuvix?
There you go. Mystery solved.
Yeah, that's the answer.
So that's Scott's guess. What are the rest of your guesses? That Scott is going on record
Saying Chakuvix. Anyone?
That's going in memory.
Hashtag Chakuvix. Make it a thing.
But
Gross.
here's my question. Isn't Janeway's hologram a navigational hologram? Isn't she supposed to be like a navigational? Isn't that her whole thing?
I think
that?
she's like, I
thought it
think
was a command
she's
hologram.
like Badgie.
I would think that she would be, but
She's like Badgie, or like the paperclip guy back in the day, where it's like you turn on your
Clippy.
you turn on your new spaceship, and here's Captain that says, "Hello, is there anything I can help you with?" And that's not the right button to push. We're gonna have to whip you into shape. Here's the information section. Go ahead and click that.
maybe he's another command hologram.
Yeah.
He's like Alexa.
Yeah, he's the Alexa. You know what would be cool, actually, and I thought of this. It would be cool if like Janeway is the navigational or command hologram, and like say Chakotay is, I don't know what he is, but like they could bring some of the other Voyager crew back. Like they could bring Tuvok back as the kind of like the counselor program.
Ooh.
Maybe one of the characters is having some sort of like conflict of, like having like a Luke Skywalker moment of, what should I do? Yes, I just crossed the streams again.
Stop trying to turn this into a
Well,
Star Wars show, Rico. We're
You don't know
watching
me.
you.
And then he brings them in as a, the voice of logic. And
We must stop and
Audience,
play
what do you get?
Calto.
Well, they do already have the Doctor hologram, so
They do.
Well, according to IMDb, he's listed as Captain Chakotay, so it's definitely a captain.
we just
I'm
don't
pretty
know
sure he's
a
a
captain of
captain.
what.
I'm
Right.
pretty sure he's a Starfleet captain. He's not like a Ferengi captain. Or is he?
Usually I have like a preference in something like this, but I think both would be cool. I think it would be obviously awesome for him to be a captain finally in Starfleet, but it also would be cool to see him as the captain of some other thing that he joined, or a freighter
ship?
captain. Yeah. He might just be like, well, thanks Starfleet, see you around, or not, whatever, and he just goes and does his own thing.
What?
I mean, it would be nice if he got his commendation and, the kudos that he deserves from Starfleet, but
Who says that's what he wants? I mean, he was a Maquis for a reason, right? So who says that's what he wanted?
This is
Will
true.
he still be with Seven? Ooh.
Ooh, the plot thickens.
well, do we know? We don't know exactly when this takes place. I mean, we're just assuming that what if it's before Voyager?
That'd be weird because then how would they have even ever heard of Captain Janeway then? I mean, there's no connection to the Delta Quadrant.
And she
It seems like it
wasn't
has to be
captain
after.
before.
Oh, are they in the Delta Quadrant?
I thought so. Isn't
Okay,
that,
see, I
isn't
don't
that something
know
that announced
this.
way early on that it was set in the Delta? I thought. I could be wrong.
I'm pretty sure this is post Voyager. It has.
And
to be.
she wasn't captain before she went on Voyager, right?
I don't know. Was it her very first?
I think it was
captaincy? I
her
don't-
first. I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't
I
remember.
don't
Scott
think so.
Baker being birthed. What do you
Oh.
think?
I think it's definitely after. I mean, from the trailer that we saw, it looked like it was an older version of Janeway, how she was drawn and everything like that. She definitely looked.
Well, especially because she also had the bun too, and that's first, second, third season Janeways.
Watch out, Rico.
Yeah, and
They're-
women can
they're
only
shooting
change
at
their
you.
hairstyles once. She can't go back.
Lisa,
Right.
what happened?
I said, watch out, they're shooting at you.
Oh shit!
Pew,
Oh,
pew, pew.
AR2, do something. I'm in a Zoom meeting. Just,
Yeah, right.
I bet Scott can do a good R2D2 impression.
I got.
winner.
A
Brought a
plus.
tear to my eye. I'm turned on.
So okay, so we're almost sure that it takes place after Voyager. That was the assumption I made, but I don't know why I made that assumption. I don't know if it's true. And Mohammed, you're saying that it's in the Delta Quadrant. I don't
know that. I just thought I remembered that, but maybe I'm just misremembering, from previous previews and stuff.
Because I think one of those characters is supposed to be a Tellarite, which I did not expect.
Okay, maybe not Delta.
It really didn't look like a Tellarite to me, but this is animation, this is cartoon stuff. They can do whatever they want with it. Kind of like the pig looking guy looks like, it works. And so if that's the case, that's why I assumed that it was in the Alpha Quadrant, but
you might be right. Maybe I'm misremembering. I just thought I remember seeing a preview earlier saying it was the Delta, but
I think Scott's Googling right now.
On the IMDb, she's not even credited as Captain Janeway. It just says Captain Janeway. So,
Mike Goose says Mohammed is right. That's where they start.
Who said
Delta
that?
Quadrant?
Mike Goo. I guess that's what he's referring to.
Mike Goo knows what he's talking about too.
He
Everybody.
does.
You guys reading the chats?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And
You're not?
And Chuck A says Captain Nog will save the day. He doesn't he always?
Oh,
He also says tell her wrong.
That's the mirror universe, Taylor, right?
That's like when Scott and I were talking about that, and he's like, "Does Melissa know about that alien?" And I said, "No, you're going to tell her, right?"
Oh god, dude, you said some really corny joke the other day.
Oh yeah, the other day. I remember that one time I did that. Yeah, weird.
Cancel him, please.
that one time. Sorry about that one time I did that.
God, I tell you, man.
Did you find the right answer, Scott?
I'm trying to.
Scott, do you know that? Did you get it?
I got it. Yes.
No. The actual. Let's ask Mike Goo. Mike Goo seems to know. Mike Goo in the chat, please let us know, where did you get this information? And he seems to be fairly certain.
What's
right?
your source? That's what everybody always says when they post something. I know that did it. What's your source?
What is your source?
All I know is from the trailer that we watched.
Well, speaking of
moving on,
that the main title sequence for Prodigy, I've gone on record, I think it was just last week, saying that it's top 3. It's really, really good. It's heart pounding. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Something I didn't know back then was every little scene in that main title sequence is representing one of the main characters on the show. And if you look carefully, you could see it, like the ship's flying through like some jagged rocks, and then you realize that looks like the rock creature. Then they fly through these like bubble globules, and that's like I can't remember any of their names. And they even fly at the end through around Janeway's face, or something that looks like Janeway's face. So next time you watch that main title sequence, watch it for the characters, and the music even changes to address the change in the characters. it's really well
And-
thought out for something that seemed like it was kind of just like an average run of the mill visually main title sequence. They really put a lot of thought into it.
Mhm.
Beautiful.
It's a beautiful
Yeah.
opening. I mean,
Mhm.
it really is.
Visually and hearing E.
Yes.
Can't think of the word right now.
Auditorily.
But Rico, Mike Goo's source is that he watched the pilot, so I think that's pretty
Oh,
good.
that's me up right
So
there.
what are we thinking? There are people that actually know that don't have to guess. That's right.
Right.
Mike Goo
Yeah.
was there. Shout out to our buddy Mike Goo.
Boom. Because I ain't seen nothing with the pilot. So
Of course, now
Yeah.
CBS lawyers are like looking up Mike Goo.
right. Go to his place and hire goons. You know nothing. Yeah.
Murph, he says, Rock Talk is the Rocky girl, and Murph is the squishy guy. Okay,
This she guy.
so I'm guessing that out of the five of us, Rico will definitely like the show the most because he likes all Star Trek very, very, very much.
Who? Me? It is true.
The other Rico E. Anderson.
Oh, that guy. Bad
Oh
news.
God.
No, I know.
That was
I do. Listen, I listen. I do.
A convincing argument.
Yeah.
Listen, do I have my thoughts on this or that like everybody? Of course I do. It doesn't mean that I think that people are out to destroy the franchise or they don't care or all this crap that you read from people. No, it's just that hey, every show, every movie has something that you can be like, I don't know, that looks, how could they what the F? You know what I mean? Watch the first. So it's like, I like it all. It's new Trek. Enjoy new Trek. Just enjoy Star Trek. Ryan?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't
Yes.
like it, keep watching the old one. It's not like it's gone. You can
That's
keep watching.
exactly
Stuff.
that's exactly the point is the people that are upset that they don't like the new stuff. I get it. If you don't, new things aren't for everybody. Some old things aren't for everybody, whatever. But remember, nobody's killing anything or destroying anything because
Right.
those new episodes still exist. They haven't turned into something else. They're
Yeah.
all exactly the same thing.
It's not like we deleted Next Gen and replaced it with something else.
Right.
Yep.
Well, I think there's not to necessarily be the devil's advocate here, but I think you can change the meaning of the other content by doing like the backstory stuff.
Yeah.
Like you could argue the stuff with Michael's character being like Spock's sister and think, oh well, she's responsible for this and she's responsible for that. You could make a case that that's sort of altering that old content because it brings a different meaning to some of the things, or it imposed a different meaning on it. Not to say that it's good
Right.
or bad, but just as
That's
a
all
context.
very true. That's all
Yeah.
very
Because
true.
like
There's an internal
if Nick-
inconsistency there, though, because you either have to agree that it's all canon, because the problem is a lot of these people say, oh, it's not, it shouldn't count as canon. Like, well, if you're saying it changes the meaning, then you're acknowledging that it actually is canon. Or
Right.
if you're not acknowledging it's canon, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, I mean, because
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of the Alien franchise, and I wasn't a big fan of like Prometheus and that one because I felt they created a backstory for that original film that changed what that original film was about, and kind of said, well, no, these are really what the xenomorphs are, and so if you acknowledge that is the backstory of what these things are, then it changes that, and there's a whole different thing there. But that's
That's fair.
That's really interesting. That's a kind of a good point. It's kind of like if you're watching your favorite show and your favorite character was the world champion of Kung Fu fighting and he beats everybody up for 7 seasons. And then a few years later, they create a new series that shows his backstory that shows he actually got 5th place in Kung Fu and cheated and got kicked out. You're like, wait a second. That's the guy I liked for 7 years. I get
Right.
that.
Yeah.
But what Muhammad's point is, well, that's only if you accept it as canon. You could just be like, nope, sorry, this is what I watch. This is what I choose to believe. None of it's
Hey,
real.
Ryan?
sure. Yeah.
Right.
Was that your way of subtly pitching a series? Because you just dropped a whole lot.
Actually, what I was thinking was that Next Generation episode, I think, parallels where Worf, he's like, I won champion standing, and he's got his cool trophy. And then he comes back, he's like, I got third place standing. And he's like, I did not play. And he's like, by the end, he's just holding up this tiny little thing that's like, I got this little
honorable mention
participation trophy.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, well, no, I'm not going to tease it yet, but I've got the Star Trek Day trivia game. You guys, our friends at Paramount Plus sent it, and everybody at home, you can play along. This is going to be so much fun. Test your knowledge. I have not opened it yet. So what that means is we don't know if it's going to be only new Star Trek. We don't know if it's going to be old or a mix. We don't know if it's going to be weird stuff like, in episode 14 of Next Generation, who was the art director? We'd be like, oh, Jesus Christ. Marina, come back. Marina Kravchuk. You know this.
I can guarantee you it's not going to have any questions about Star Trek the Animated Series, because on Star Trek Day, they completely did not mention the animated series.
This is
There was
true.
there was no clips of it. There was nothing. It was as if the animated series did not exist.
That's why
true.
That's why 40% of us are representing Lower Decks, because Lower Decks per capita gives the most references to the animated series.
Yeah, it's almost like they're slowly making it, canon. You know what I mean? It's like all of a sudden any reference, giant Spock, it was there, so it existed.
Yes.
Why not?
Well, I agree.
I gotta say, I love the Lower Decks, the whole season I've watched so far. I just watched these last couple episodes, and this one was like, I think probably my favorite. It was so funny, and there was a lot of like throwbacks, because it was like, oh, they're in the Borg encounter, and then the Wild West, and like all those little simulations were like throwbacks to like episodes we'd seen from TOS and TNG and stuff like that, and you could just tell the care and the love of the writers for Star Trek. And it's not just oh, we'll just have a bar and we've got some of the aliens from some episode wandering around in the back of the bar. It's not just that sort of thing. It's like actually incorporating the stuff into the story and understanding the meaning and the little inside jokes and stuff like that. So yeah,
I'll give them a slight pass on the animated series for Star Trek Day, because in terms of just number of episodes, it's like an eighth or a tenth as many as, say, Next Gen or Voyager.
22.
It's a very, very small number of episodes, relatively speaking. So.
But
your point's well taken, nonetheless.
I'm also very upset because in my notes I said that after we talk about Prodigy and Chakotay, we would move into the Discovery trailer. But now we can't do that because we're knee deep into Lower Decks, and I'm way too excited. So we'll have to get to Discovery a little later, because animated series, I think we asked this before, but I still don't know the answer. Is the animated series officially considered canon? I jokingly called it the Pluto of Star Trek, because first it was canon, then it wasn't canon, then it was back to canon, and I don't know where we've landed. Mohammed, do you have any idea?
I feel like it has to be considered canon given the number of references to it in Lower Decks. Because if it's not canon, how would Lower Decks be referring to it? So it has to be at this point. I feel like they've permanently canonized it by doing the representations in Lower Decks.
They refer to books, and books are not canon.
Yeah, but the references to books are pretty glancing. It feels like it's much more in. The Doctor being a main character in the show right there is already a much more in-depth representation. So,
but by jumping into referring to the books, they've brought some of that into canon. Like the whole reason why number one's name is Una is because of what the books did.
Yeah, and that happened in a short trek. That was even pre-Lower Decks too.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So anyway, Scott, you were talking about how much you love Lower Decks season 2, which you literally watched right before we hit record. This was your favorite episode, and why?
Like I said, I think because it had a lot of fun references to other episodes and those little simulation trial things. And I thought it was, I laughed, I had a good time. I enjoyed that. It felt, I felt throughout the entire series that felt like Star Trek. And I think a lot of that is that it's a series instead of a longer storyline. Each episode's a one and done. They come in, there's the 3 acts, solve a problem, and then the episode ends. And that feels so much more like old Star Trek to me that I grew up with. And so I like that better. I think the characters are great and they're enjoyable, and you feel like what they did with Next Generation and Voyager and Deep Space Nine is you've got like a family of people on a ship, and they're working together, and you have the dynamics, and there's tension and there's drama and all these things that happen when you have a group of people with different personalities from different backgrounds, but it plays out in a way that doesn't feel like Game of Thrones in space. It's fun and it's funny, and there's the adventure, and there's the aliens, and all the stuff that you can do with an animated series, with like the different types of aliens that you can't do with like a live action, like in Prodigy, they've got the little blob character, like you can't do that in a. I mean, Murph. I guess now with CG, I know they did that in
the Orville.
Yeah, Orville, they had a character like that, but so much more freedom with stuff. People flying at airlocks and all that kind of stuff. It's so much easier to do in animated. And I just feel like it's so fun, and they have great characters, and the writing's great, and you get time in each of these episodes to learn more about the different characters and the interactions and stuff. And I'm always pleasantly surprised with where they go with the different characters and such.
Everybody that's listening in right now, Scott is dancing around the fact that his background is the orgy scene in the previous episode. So he's pretending like he likes all these other things, but this is really the part that he liked the most.
Yeah. Well, and it's like adult humor, which I think is cool. It doesn't post punches on that stuff as well. I thought that was cool. Like this whole episode, this whole scenario, and it had a nudity, and not obviously like X-rated nudity, but a lot of implied stuff and the language and adult sort of things that I think work for contemporary audiences and stuff like that, without feeling like it's got to kind of play it safe and nerf the visuals and the language, but. I thought this was great because it was like, okay, we're going to take this episode that we know from TNG and make this crazy spin on it. Take it to the logical crazy conclusion of an entire orgy on a spaceship and stuff like that.
And right now Rico's screaming, "It was in original series too."
You don't know me.
That's much though.
I gotta say, I mean, I love in general just how they've really nailed the nostalgia of the Next Generation, and just taking it up that fun 21st century notch. It almost makes me wish that it was an hour-long series. Seriously.
Yeah.
Like every episode was an hour. I mean, because they pack a lot into a half hour, and they nail it every time as far as I'm concerned. But man, an hour would just be like, what am I gonna do when it's done? You know what I mean? It's so fun. So cool. The nostalgia in terms of like even your background, Ryan, with the
Oh man, I loved it when I saw that.
I mean, that's
the Beverly Crusher and Deanna Troi leotard, stretchy leotards, because we always talk about that on the seventh rule, and it's perfect. And then they got this dude dressed in whatever. We got Napoleon here. We got like a jester or something.
Well, you got the Napoleon dude. I think that's a throwback to Generations, right? Because,
for when Worf
was promoted,
throws Gates overboard.
Data gives her the shove, but that's what I thought of. But I mean,
who knows? But it just
what it looks like to me.
Right. That's it.
I still love that they're just nice to each other. I think Scotty got at this a little bit in the context of the family aspect, but they're just they're good people. Like the main characters, they get along. 'Cause I mean, often when you have these sort of adult cartoons, they get kind of vicious. The characters are kind of vicious to each other. And I don't feel that with this. I feel like they're genuinely good people. And even the peripheral characters, like in the most recent episode, the Three Ships one, that scene at the end when the first officer had sent that guy to go talk to Boy, and we're like, aw, that was really sweet. That was very heartwarming. I like that combined with the good plots and the Easter eggs. And they're genuinely like, you feel like I would want to know these people, as opposed to, a lot of cartoon people, you're like, I don't want to come anywhere near them. They're going to do something crazy.
And then they just took it to that next level with like last week's episode, which, showing an adventure aboard the Klingon ship, the Vulcan ship. And there was something that I thought happened in Lower Decks that's never happened. Correct me if I'm wrong, people in the panel, people in the audience. We have never seen a Vulcan ship in battle before. Am I wrong? Am I right?
I thought the same thing when I saw that scene, but it sounds like Muhammad might have something.
Well, I remember in Enterprise, there was a Vulcan ship that had been destroyed when it went to go help the Enterprise. When it went to go help the Enterprise, but I don't remember seeing the battle sequence with it. Like, I think they got to the Vulcan ship and like, oh, it's destroyed.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, because I remember thinking the same thing. That's good knowledge. I remember thinking like, oh, finally we get to see a Vulcan ship in action, because we've barely even seen them. I mean, Enterprise, we get to see them more than anything. Yeah.
And I love how they did that, that basic, we're doomed, we're going to die. And all of a sudden, boom, they just come right up there. It almost reminded me of First Contact when the Defiant is basically screwed.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden the Enterprise, it's the Enterprise, boom, and then they come through and, save the day.
Do you remember in season 4 of Enterprise, there was that 3-parter with Vulcan when like the high command had kind of gone rogue and they were going to attack. I don't remember if they actually had any fighting in it though. They were going to go attack the Andorians. I don't remember if any fighting actually happens. I remember the Enterprise got in the middle of it all to try to stop it. But I don't remember if there was any like skirmishes before that or anything.
Man, when you said that 3-parter, I immediately got worried that you're going to say that one at the beginning of season 4. I'm just like,
oh no, not that.
That was like
that was
the
like
worst.
2 parters. That was terrible.
I thought it was a 3-part. I guess it was because the end of the 3rd season ended with that.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Like, how many times do we have to bring back the Nazis? All right, we've seen the Nazis. They were terrible. We don't need to keep bringing them back.
Somebody said,
also,
no.
Yeah.
So do we think is that that Vulcan girl, is she going to end up on the on the Cerritos? Is that
totally
seemed
Oh, but here's my question with that, because I think that's everybody's assumption, whether it's going to be in this upcoming season finale or if it's season 3, probably in this final episode is my guess. But do you think, my first thought was she and Mariner are going to butt heads. You kind of usually when you bring in someone new, they usually are new to butt heads with the lead.
Or,
do you think that she and Mariner are going to butt heads, or you think they're going to become fast friends? Rico?
I think, thank you, Ryan. I think they're going to be BFFs. And I say that because think about it. She's kind of like the Mariner on that ship, according to how Vulcans, say that she's, she's out of control or what.
On the centimeter scale instead of the meter scale.
yeah. She's almost like the Mariner. She was basically like the Mariner of the Vulcan ship. And I could see them potentially like getting together and just, just creating a bigger headache for the captain and, and just, I don't know.
Well, I think,
yeah.
I was say, I think maybe that's the arc, right? She comes in and she's the new, piece to the puzzle or whatever you want to call it. And, she, disrupts the kind of cohesion that Mariner and Boimler have kind of settled into their groove. Cause this season was a lot about that, right? A lot about like them two kind of really kind of coming to terms with who they were and their relationship with each other and stuff like that, and accepting each other's, roles in the ship and stuff like that. And, she can come in and kind of disrupt that. And then that sort of gets resolved over a couple episodes or after some adventures and bonding and all that kind of stuff. Right.
Yeah. I was thinking maybe she could shake things up a bit because they're so similar in their place on the ship, that could also be not a great thing too. And I don't know. There's some room for jealousy too because Boimler and the new Vulcan could get along swimmingly, and then Mariner would be like, "Wait, what about me?"
Yep.
True.
I was actually wondering.
thinking.
I was wondering if
I
it would
think-
be the opposite, where Boimler would actually be jealous of her because she's going to be the smart person. He's used to being like sort of that.
Be a nice twist. See, I was expecting that like Boimler would be like, "Oh, she's so cool," and Rutherford and Tendi would be, "Oh, she's so great," and Mariner would be like, "What's so great about this girl down?"
That does make more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, but there's also,
but that's more of the obvious thing. I think what you're saying, it would be a nice twist that we're not expecting, where Boimler's like, "Hey, I'm supposed to be the smart one," but
well, and also Boimler's kind of the follow the rules kind of guy, and even though she's not necessarily follow the rules on the Vulcan ship, when she comes into Starfleet, she's probably going to be more tempted to be the kind of person to follow the rules because she wants to fit in and impress, and because she's still got that Vulcan side that wants to do what you're supposed to do. And so there might be some tension there, as well as like, oh, who she thinks she is, knowing the rules better than me or something.
So the big question is, does she sleep in the hall too?
Wait, you know what? We have all these predictions, or we just never see her character again.
There's that, right? Yeah.
She serves on the Titan, and we see her season.
Improbable. 5. Are we going to see that Klingon captain again? That's got to come into play again, right?
Oh, I think so.
Hear an outcome. I'm sure it'd be weird if we have no outcome from that.
Yeah. Definitely.
It's also interesting that it seemed like that last episode kind of opened the door for that similar formula of partially serialized and partially episodic that Deep Space Nine did so well, to where each episode is its own thing, but there's an overarching storyline that carries over from episode to episode, and they opened the door to that in episode 9, right?
And they did that season 1, episode 9 as well, because that led right into the season finale last season. Because that was when it came out that Mariner's mom was the captain. It was right before that finale, and then that led into the finale.
Yeah. Or just these like that, just like little tidbits of stories that you can kind of, get a little bit to the storyline, and there's like 3 or 4 episodes where you don't hear anything about it, and then they touch back into that little storyline again and kind of give you a resolution or another like chapter of it as they move on. We're gonna see
Linda. I was just gonna say, Linda in the chat says that she believes T'Lyn is a Romulan spy.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Wasn't that was the original plan for, well, not as a spy, but the original plan for Saavik was she was supposed to be part Romulan, but then they never followed through on that. Isn't that
Really?
Right? Yeah, I remember reading that at some point, that like originally she was supposed to be like half Romulan or something, but then they changed that. Then they replaced for Star Trek 6. Then they brought the Vulcan trader lady. I can't remember her name. Kim Cattrall, but I don't remember what her name was in the show.
We've got a special guest appearance in the final episode, right?
We do?
I don't know. Who's that?
So what was it? I was just looking at it. It was she's from Next Generation. She was the ensign that spills hot chocolate on Picard.
Oh, she's back. Ensign
Sonia Gomez, something like that. Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Oh, that's hilarious. See, I love that. I love the fact that they do stuff like that. It's like they're just bringing back like references that may not have been as big as, say, like the main cast, but you remember it, and here they are again. How cool is that? That's dope.
Yeah,
man.
it's Gomez.
She's
Captain
Captain
Gomez. Yeah,
she's Captain Gomez now on Lower Decks. That's what it says. We're
Really?
looking at trekmovie.com. Yeah, check it out.
Promoted fast.
They gotta have her spill coffee still or something.
Oh yeah. And that's great because you watch that episode of Next Generation, and that whole scene with Picard is so funny, and it has it has that feel of that lower decks of somebody doing something stupid or like foolish, and then they're trying to fix it to clean up and everything like that. All this, she's trying to like wipe it off his shirt, and he's just like, just I'll go change, it'll be easier. And
I mean, it would almost be a missed opportunity if she doesn't do it like to like the Admiral,
Right.
Oh my God, Admiral, I'm so sorry. Here, let me just get that for you.
Right. Because it's got to be that kind of throwback thing, right? Where they
got to.
Like,
I mean, that was like her thing,
Yeah, that's
her thing.
That like haunts her, like how ironic or something, like to like haunt your entire career. Like you spill hot chocolate on somebody once, and that just follows you through your entire career.
Brilliant.
That is canon. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
That's just so
That's
cool.
Brilliant.
I love it. That's so
okay. So looking forward to that final episode. That's going to be awesome. Real quick before we move on, what are your overall thoughts for season 2 of Lower Decks? Compared to season 1, was it as good or better? Do you expect season 3 to be even better? What do you guys think? For me, season 2 was very, very good. I was very happy with it. Super entertaining. As you guys were saying earlier, it does have the heart of 90s Star Trek, where the people care about each other. They have their little squabbles, but they really truly care about each other, and they want what's best for each other. Even Mariner and Boimler that are like, oil and water, but then at the same time they're like water and water sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
But what do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I've loved season 2. It's been a lot of laughs, and to echo what everybody else has said, it's nice to see them still build relationships even though there's like a one-off episode here and there. You still have the continuity of those relationships and how they're growing, and it's organic, it's not forced. And the writing is amazing, and so much fun. It's a great time to watch.
We said.
I think episode. I think season 2 is better than season 1. They've like really hit their stride as far as like figuring out some of the character dynamics and stuff like that. And I just have one more thing. I think like looking back at like original series, there's so much kind of goofy and campiness about like that show. Kirk fighting the Gorn and all that kind of stuff, and they've really like embraced that sort of feel to the show. And I think that's what's so great, is like kind of taking all the new stuff that's happened since, but also still embracing that campy goofiness of the original series.
Real quick in the chat, we've got Chuck A says it's better. Kimber Spore says it's better. Linda Anderag says it's better. Chuck A says better is better. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg says hot water and cold water. Scott Jensen says 2 was better. What if it gets really good later like other Trek? We are fortunate. Okay.
Better. Yeah.
Strong consensus.
I'm afraid. I'm afraid to see what happens if it actually gets good, because I'm already enjoying it.
Totally. It's already good. We're gonna blow up.
I just want to say that I loved the last episode so much.
Me too.
Because it really it gave me that Star Trek universe feel.
Yes.
Yeah, and that has been something that I've always wanted to see in Trek, and we have gotten that actually with short treks, but not to the extent that. Well, no, we've gotten that with short treks, but I love the fact that this half-hour episode featured what's going on the Cerritos, but also on the Klingon ship, the Vulcan ship, even got the packlets, red alarm, love that. And then just when you thought it was like, bam, awesome episode, they hit you right during the credits with the Borg. So it was
It's pretty funny. Yeah.
yeah, it was
So
freaking
good.
hilarious. But I love those separate stories. I love the fact that we're seeing this ship, this adventure aboard this Klingon ship. We're seeing the Vulcans do their thing. I love that. I love that. And it really to me it upped the game of Lower Decks in a way that that's going to easily bring a whole lot more to the show. I have to say that I truly do agree with what Sirach was saying when he said that this show really could go on for seasons. Seasons.
Totally.
Because there's so much you could do with it, with the initial storyline, the initial characters, bringing back legacy characters, introducing new characters. That you could do everything with this show. I mean, because it's animation, but it's done so smartly, and anybody who was on the show could literally come back in whatever way, shape, or form they would, even if you're going to have like Jeffrey Combs who comes back as a totally different character, and it's just awesome. I love it.
And all the actors would want to work on it because they don't have to go sit through makeup. They don't have to put on pants. They can walk in Crocs. Rico,
I'm wearing pants now, and I do.
I know. I'm glad that you mentioned the 5 different ships. By the way, I know I'm not the only one that watched the entire credits just to see if the Borg were going to do anything at all. Like I was just watching. Like,
right.
Is there going to be a fly that hits them? Or
somebody's going to yawn? Or
but I do want to point out that our good friend Mike McMahon, who has been on our show and who is clearly an A+ Star Trek fan.
Oh yeah.
I do want to point out that on his Twitter, give him a follow on Twitter. Let me show you this real quick.
Screen share.
Yeah. One moment, please. There we go. So I don't know if you guys saw this floating around the last couple days. Which ship would you guys want to serve on? The Borg Cube, the Cerritos, Klingon ship, Vulcan ship, or the Clump ship pack led?
I'm hungry. You should eat. You're so smart.
One thing I'm very curious.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think I would probably have to choose the Cerritos.
Yeah, fair.
Same.
You know,
I've always been a Klingon fan, so I'd want to at least do a Riker and like put some time on the ship.
Nice.
Like do a exchange.
Very curious if future seasons of Lower Decks will pick up on more of the modern Trek. They've kind of not touched it. And I kind of doubt it actually, but it'd be interesting to see if they pick up on a little bit of Discovery or Picard, or when Strange New Worlds opens, or heck, even Prodigy, depending on when it happens.
It seems like that the new shows kind of all want to stay in their lanes.
That's why I'm thinking they won't, but it would be interesting. Maybe they'll do it if one of them ends. Maybe if Picard ends, they'll then do one after that.
Although we got a Rito shirt.
It's true.
Oh, I love that shirt.
Yeah, that's true. That's a nice reference. So Mike McMahon also tweeted today, we have a cool new ship in this week's Lower Decks finale, the USS Archimedes, an Obena class ship inspired by the Excelsior class, which is still in service, but larger with some other changes. How cool is it that Mike McMahon is a spaceship nerd like some of us? I'm definitely not one of the biggest spaceship nerds, but we know a lot of people that are. Looking at you, Andre Cotman. But check out this new ship. Pretty cool.
And Peter Karuba.
Yeah, Peter Karuba. My goodness. That guy's a huge Star Trek nerd. I mean, Star Trek ship nerd.
Both, doesn't the new ship, the new Excelsior class, have like another deck or something? Looks like a little
pretty big deck too.
Yeah. Wait, what are we talking about here?
Anyway, so let's talk about the what happened.
I don't know.
You didn't know? No, it's got a really big deck.
Okay. Well, there you go. Really, ain't nobody gonna say nothing. Okay, moving on.
Speaking of which, the Discovery trailer, so that just dropped a few days ago. And everything just flashes by so fast that it's one of those things like every time where you have to pause it and catch every single little nugget. I don't know, Scott, did you end up watching the Discovery trailer? Because you've been kind of hiding out in a hole, like working all the time, right?
Yeah, I did. I just watched it. No, I
Today?
didn't see it. I did watch it today to remind myself. I think because they showed it at the Star Trek Day thing, right? Am I wrong?
No,
Yeah.
there's a new one. It's not the same.
It's a new one. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I watched whatever was on the New York Comic-Con. There was a thing like, oh, what trailers did we see at New York Comic-Con?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit more excited for this season. Looking at the trailer, I think they did the smartest thing that they could have done and taken Discovery out of the time and the place where it currently was, and it being, I think it being a prequel show was its biggest detriment, and I think taking it outside of that, and now it's not a prequel, it's not a sequel show, it's like this thing that's happening kind of independent from, you know, Next Generation and Deep Space Nine and Voyager and all that stuff. I think that's the smartest thing that they could have done with the show. And so I think that gives it an opportunity to be its own show and to be something, and not be kind of this conflict with, you know, TOS and Enterprise. And I think that's kind of what was kind of, you know, holding it back. And
right. It's always beholden to like the series before it, but now it can kind of blaze its own trail and do whatever it wants, right?
Yeah. And so I'm hopeful that is what it is able to do, and they're able to now it's able to be, we're out exploring space and things like that, because that's like the first 3 seasons didn't seem to have any of that kind of stuff. It was all, oh, we're battling and trying to save so and so and trying to do that. There wasn't like, oh, we're just going to go out in space and explore and see what the heck happens. And I think that's what's, you know, to me is at the heart of what Star Trek is this, you know, the ship or whatever it is going out into space, and whatever happens, and, you know, we're going to encounter strange new worlds, and, you know, hilarity ensues.
All right. No cross in the series right here.
And end up on Death Star and fighting.
Yeah. So I think that's so I'm hopeful that that's what we're going to see in this new season is that.
Yeah. Okay, Rico, we know you loved the trailer, but how much did you love it?
Man. All right. It was great to see Saru in the new uniform. We knew he was going to be back. It's great to see that he came back, and assuming coming back to the ship or in whatever capacity, maybe he's an ambassador or whatever. Who knows? I'm excited for the new season. I'm excited to see where they're going. I always wondered if they cut the trailer the way they do for the purpose of us as we're talking about it, or us going, wait, was that a pause?
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like bam, 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 bam. What'd you say, Mohammed?
I'm sure they anticipate that.
Yeah. You know, you got a lot of people who are just like, let's talk about this, let's talk about that, let's talk about the aliens, let's talk about. So, hey, man, I'm excited for it. I'm here for it, and I'm excited to see where they're gonna go, what new direction they're gonna go with it. And I mean, there's so many great possibilities 900 years in the future to see what has become of things. It really does give the opportunity to bring it all back in whatever way, shape, or form. So, yes, I love the trailer. I'm here for the show. I am excited. And Scott just changed his background. You must be
nice. Finally.
Eyes were hurting.
Yes. That was a bit much.
Boimler's thighs were hurting? What?
That too.
He was in that position for so long.
It's true. He's getting sore.
Oh.
Melissa, did you see the Discovery trailer?
I did. Yes.
Does
there's
it make you now? Remember, this is only coming out in just what, like 5 weeks from now. So it's very close. How excited are you?
I am very curious about Discovery and what it will bring this next season. I mean, I didn't get a whole lot of information. So it's hard to say what I should be excited about. I'm excited about the new uniforms. They're amazing. But it's, you know, I love Saru. I love Book. I love Grudge. I love, you know, there's a lot to love about Discovery. So, yeah, I'd be interested to see where it goes.
I've been afraid to ask Muhammad, are we allowed to ask you what you think of the trailer? I mean, are you even
comment on the
allowed
trailer?
to...
I can't comment on anything about the series.
Yeah, you can't really say much about anything.
Muhammad knows things. He sees them.
It was funny actually. My wife and I were watching the New York City Comic Con online, and whenever we get to the trailer, it would just be like black screen and no sound as we were watching it online. And we're like, I want to see it. I want to see it. And then they're like, let's watch it again. Like, seriously? And then they black screen us again for like 3 minutes each time to do that. But yeah, I thought the trailer was great. I mean, I didn't know what the trailer was going to look like. And yeah, it had a lot of action there. You know, there's clearly some gravitational thing happening, a lot of cool species. Yeah.
Did you recognize some things where you said, oh, I know what that is, and I know what's going on here?
Can't answer that.
Oh boy. That's okay. There are rules. He drinks and he knows things.
Okay. I don't drink alcohol, but
it doesn't say. I didn't say alcohol.
That's true. That's true.
Water.
What's your favorite beverage? What's your beverage of choice, Muhammad?
Oh, I think I've mentioned this before. The naked juice strawberry banana. 2 thumbs up to that. Woo, love that. Definitely not a Discovery question. I appreciate it.
Well, you know what? When we say he drinks and he knows things, we want to be able to picture what he's drinking.
Yeah, I almost brought one up actually with me for this show.
Scott likes Cambodian beer.
I do like Cambodian beer. I like beers of all countries, but yes.
Based that. It said Angkor on the thing, so I just assumed that was right, Angkor.
Yeah, Angkor. Yeah, yeah. My country, my beer. Yeah, I got this in Cambodia. Shot a film out there a few years back, and
wow.
Yeah.
You can't see the whole shirt. The bottom of the shirt says Steam. It's that kind of beer. Angkor Steam. Nobody knows that beer. Sorry, I guess I'm the only beer connoisseur.
Oh yes.
Never heard of it.
What do you think of the trailer, Ryan?
You know, it was very recognizable. Like, it felt comfortably Discovery. When I watched it, I was like, oh yeah, this is Discovery. You know what I mean? Like, Discovery has its own brand and they have their own way of delivering trailers. And it felt very familiar and very comfortable. And as Melissa said, it didn't give me a ton of information. It just threw a bunch of questions at me, right? Because that's what they do. They go, what's this? What's this? What's that? Mysterious thing is going to happen. We're like, okay, tell us. And they're like, nope, trailer's over. No. You got to watch. So I think mission was accomplished. Obviously, they showed us what seems to be either a Ferengi or a Ferengi hybrid or a Ferengi cousin. It looked different from what we know, but that does not mean that it's not a Ferengi, as we know with Klingons and other aliens that have been reimagined. It looks to me like it's some kind of hybrid Ferengi, or maybe he's blended with something, or maybe it's just a reimagined Ferengi.
Or we also Ferengi, like they with Picard with the Romulans.
Yeah, when she flicked him on the head.
Uvix.
From the north.
We also had
a Corvix,
as we were talking about a couple days ago, Mohammed, the Cardassian Bajoran kind of thing, hybrid
human, I think they said, yeah.
And so that was also very interesting. But what I worry, my concern is that they will not explain these people's backstories, because Discovery, like a lot of shows, they're showing you these things as fun fan moments. So fans could be like, whoa, that's a this, and whoa, that's a that. And that's cool. And we enjoy them. But also as fans, we're also like, that was awesome. So what is it? Or so what's her story or what? And they're like, nope, we don't have time for that. We got to stick to this story. And so they put them in as additional treats, as the cherry on top of the sundae. But me being a big time nerd, I want to follow their story. And I want to know what they're, and maybe they'll do it, but I can't imagine that would really be high on the list of a screenwriter to be like, okay, and now we need a scene with a walk and talk where Michael Burnham says, so what species are you? Well, that's interesting that, in screenwriting, there's just not going to be room for that usually. So I don't expect it. It'd be cool if they could sneak it in somehow, but I don't think it's going to be there.
Well, Discovery, and this is not a dig, but Discovery does have a history of that. I mean, you have like the crew of the Discovery, and we still don't really know a lot about them. Like we had the one-off with the android, what was her name?
Ariam?
Ariam.
Yeah. Well, not a one-off, but we had
maybe a 2-season off.
yeah.
But you're right. There was one episode that gave her backstory. Yeah.
Right.
They gave her backstory and then she died. So, there was, but even with like Rekha Sharma's character, it's like
Landry.
Landry, we got her and then we lost her and then we got her back in the mirror universe, but we lost her again, which I still have a feeling.
Nice.
But we didn't really. Yeah, but we never really learned what made her tick. We didn't know really anything about her except for, we saw her in the first season and then she died.
She was the president's assistant, if I remember correctly.
Right, but she was much more than
Thanks, Muhammad. Muhammad
I
gets
think,
I still kind of have a feeling, and I don't know how they would do this, but they could do it in Strange New World. There's something that tells me that Mirror Universe Landry didn't die.
Okay, real quick, in the chat, Sci-Fi Guy. Wait a minute, Sci-Fi Guy, is that Andre Cotman? I think it is,
Andre.
right?
Yeah.
He said, Ryan, you should interview the guy who does makeup for Discovery. Would love to hear why he makes some of the creative choices for how he shows Klingons and Ferengi. Okay, so here's the secret, guys. Just between us, okay?
Don't tell anybody. You can't tell anybody?
Yeah, this is just between us, everybody. The head makeup guy for Discovery,
Scott.
I am near Glenn Hetrick, I think. I am almost positive goes to my gym. I know, that is the sound I made when I was at the gym too. And the reason I was able to know this is because I think he was in some Star Trek Las Vegas panel, and so we could actually kind of see what he looked like. So I kind of had a vague idea what he looked like. And then one time I was, like shredding my shoulders or pumping my, abs or whatever. And I overheard somebody saying, "Oh yeah, I'm out working in Toronto most of the time, blah, blah, blah." And he's like, "Oh yeah, on a show on Star Trek." And so of course I'm like, I look past my machine, I'm like, like that, and they're like 10 feet away, and he was saying something about VFX. I wasn't really sure, because I'm not a creep. And I recognized him. I was like, okay, that's the makeup guy. That's Glenn Hetrick.
So what you do is spot him, and then
I did. I was like, there he is.
No, spot him.
Like at the
gym. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, spot him, and as the weight is down on his chest, go. Spill it, buddy.
So
we could do that with Muhammad too, but now he knows that we would do that.
Not going there.
Or corner him in the shower in the men's locker room. That would be just as.
He'll be like, I knew you would be like this. No, but so there is that possibility. I might, just come up to him at the gym and be like, "Hey, So I couldn't help but overhear that.
I gotta be in the corner somewhere with a camera on that one. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's
I
gonna
don't
be
mean
like,
to brag, but have you heard of Virtual Trek Con?
that's what you do with this text.
Okay, so anyway, we'll good thing this isn't live. We could just edit that out.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, here we go. I feel like in History of the World Part 1,
Love that movie.
where Mel Brooks is like totally bombing in front of Caesar. He's like telling these jokes and it's bombing and bombing. And he goes, politics, 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 politics. Like to change the subject. Right now I'm thinking Star Trek trivia game, Star Trek trivia game.
Do it.
Okay.
Woohoo!
So it's
Let's
time
do it.
to unveil the Star Trek trivia game in all of its glory. It's a big
We're doing
box.
teams.
Here it
Can I
comes.
provide the theme music for it? Here we go. Dun, 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 dun,
Oh my
dun, dun, dun.
Here it
Huge.
is.
The biggest box I've ever seen.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay,
They
but
should do that.
yeah, that's true. Oh, he changed his background. So I've never opened this, you guys. So this is it. Everybody check it out. Star Trek Day trivia game. And the back is like words and stuff. Wow, look at that.
Hopefully,
Okay.
I hope it's a Star Trek Day Cards Against Humanity version.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
God.
Okay,
And scary.
here it is. Okay, here are the cards. So we're going to ask a couple of these questions.
We're doing
And
teams.
you guys, whoa, this is getting
Ooh.
crazy already. Okay, okay. If you want, we
Let's go,
can-
nerds.
I'm never going
What
to
do you
say no to making it more interesting. Okay,
I
but don't
picked
you
Dr.
guys?
Muhammad.
You guys can't answer right away because we got the
No,
guy that
I
works
want
on
Mohammed.
Discovery.
Too late.
Sorry, Rico.
Oh,
I'm not gonna be that good at it. We'll see.
Okay,
Muhammad,
you guys.
He's smart.
So don't answer right away, so we could give everybody at home a chance to answer. Speaking of which,
should we
And
write
so
our
we can
answers down on a
cheat.
piece of paper?
So we can cheat
Like
on
match
their
game?
answers,
Scott,
too.
if you
Write down on a
want,
piece of paper
okay.
and then-
Oh, we could private chat them to you, and that way you see what everybody put in real time, but we can't see each
Ooh.
other's.
I think everybody's going to get this first one.
Aw.
It says, let me read this. It says, in lower decks. So we know that answered the first question. We know it's not just old
Yeah.
stuff.
That's the animated one, right?
What is General Corrin's species? Vulcan,
Oh.
Romulan, Ferengi, or Klingon? General Corrin.
What is it? Vulcan, Romulan, what? Vulcan, Romulan, Ferengi. I'm
Ferengi or Klingon?
trying to remember who General Corrin was.
I think I remember.
Oh, I think I know what it is.
Okay, give it a minute. Let everybody guess. The answers are Vulcan, Romulan, Ferengi, or Klingon.
Klingon. Wait, were we supposed to say it out loud?
I mean, it's obviously a Ferengi, right? General Corrin. What do you guys think? Do you agree
Rico,
with
yeah.
I was
Rico?
gonna say yes. I was gonna say Klingon as well.
I was guessing it was that guy from the second episode, but I could be wrong.
That guy.
I think so
Remember
too.
the second episode one when Mariner and Boimler went off to that planet and he was all drunk and stuff?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait, were we supposed
Okay.
In
to
the first
email
season.
or
Yeah.
throw it in the chat? Did I break the rules in this?
It's okay. They answered.
A lot of people in chat said Klingon.
Everybody, yeah, they all said nobody guessed Ferengi, surprisingly. Wow.
Scott says Vulcans don't have generals.
Oh, yes, they do. They have two generals.
No.
Um,
God.
Welcome to the last episode of.
Okay. So, how about this one? Number 2. What is the title of the first episode of Star Trek: A Lower Decks? Is it A,
Encounter-
Envoys, B, Moist Vessel, C, Second Contact, or D, Much Ado About Boimler?
Can we
Once
just
again, that's-
sort it out?
Not yet. A, Envoys, B, Moist Vessel, C, Second Contact, D, Much Ado About Boimler.
Whether it's right or not, I love Moist Vessel. Just want to say for the record.
Rico,
History
this is a show like Prodigy. It's for children.
Is it though?
Oh.
Right.
So we're letting everybody answer. Let's see what they say. They're about 20 seconds behind us in the chat. Scott Jensen says C, Second Contact. War Dog says, okay, everybody's saying Second Contact. Boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Too.
I think Second Contact.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree too. And that is what it says.
Is that it?
Are these? Yeah, good job,
They're all
guys.
lower decks?
Are they
Just
all
get
lower
lucky?
decks?
I don't know. We're about to find out. Okay, this is lower decks again. Let me just skip ahead and see.
Shuffle.
So the new Trek is a part of it. I mean, even though we haven't heard any old Trek stuff. So.
Okay, yeah. So these are mixed, but I think maybe they were just put together in order of shows. So I'm gonna give them a quick little mixeroo, and then we're gonna close out this episode. We'll just do one or two more of these. Okay, so next one is in Star Trek Discovery. What is the name of the last episode of season 1? Is it A, Magic to Make the Sanest Man Go Mad? B, Will You Take My Hand? C, Context is for Kings? Or D, The Wolf Inside? And How to Be Hungry Like It.
Oh.
Final episode of season 1. A, Magic to Make the Sanest Man Go Mad. B, Will You Take My Hand? C, Context is for Kings. And D, The Wolf Inside.
Can I say it now?
We gotta wait for the chat.
Never have any fun.
Burnham saves the day.
That's all the episodes. That's not a fair answer. You can answer that every time.
Not a clue.
Oh, come on. Oh, we have some variation
this is
now.
all over the place.
Finally.
Maybe a subtle hint too.
What do you guys think? You guys all have different.
You take my hand.
Oh, he's probably right. But my guess was D, the wolf one, because it's the coolest sounding.
I thought
it was early. That was in the second half, but not the finale.
Yeah, what's
I
cool
thought it was-
is they're
I thought it was
actually
C,
using
but-
all of the title. They're all actually real titles, like they did with Lower Decks.
Yeah.
Scott, you say C?
That was my guess, but I guess I'm wrong. I don't know.
Rico?
I could be wrong, but I don't think so.
Scott, be a little bit more optimistic, okay? I would say D.
That is what you take my
It
hand.
is D.
See, I was wrong.
Oh, it is
Yeah.
D.
It is D.
All right.
It is D?
Oh,
Wait,
it's-
what?
Well, say the title,
D.
not the number.
Will You Take My Hand?
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Was that it? Yeah, Will You Take My Hand? Okay, let's do one
Good
more,
job,
shall we?
Kimber and Scott.
Yeah, Kimber and Scott.
Here we go.
Nice, Rico.
This is for first place.
Mm,
I don't know.
it's for all the points.
In
First
Star
one,
Trek
take all-
Discovery, where is Ash Tyler originally from? Is it A, Seattle, Washington, B, New Berlin, like the song Metro, remember that one? Or Take
No.
My Breath Away. C, Birmingham, England, D, Tarsus 4. Once again, that is Ash Tyler's place of origin.
Not my desk.
Mm.
A, Seattle, Washington. B, New Berlin. C, Birmingham, England. D, Tarsus 4.
So this is the real Ash Tyler, not the Klingon Ash Tyler.
Yeah. Ash
Okay.
Tyler. Yeah. No answers yet. Hold it. Hold,
Just Genius has an
man.
answer.
Rico's got his My Little Pony thing up.
It's hella
Just
cute, man.
noticed.
Did you ever end up watching the second episode of that, Rico? Be honest.
Nah, I didn't.
I knew it. See,
I know. I'm all talking.
Nobody's gonna watch.
We have high consensus in the chat. Just Genus,
Big
Sci-Fi Guy,
brony.
Wardog, Heim, Scott
Wow.
Jensen, Kimber Spores. Yeah.
Everyone has the same answer.
Melissa, Scott, and Rico, do you agree? Muhammad knows.
Yeah, I already private chatted it.
Nice medallion. Nice.
I would
Oh,
just be
God.
guess. I would just be guessing. So if I got it right, it would just be pure chance. So
What was your guess?
Seattle, Washington.
You are correct, sir.
Hmm.
Okay, last
Well,
one. This is for the tiebreaker. This is the rapid.
I was
question
going to
is,
say Berlin.
my question is then how come he sounds like he's from Birmingham, England?
Which one?
Ash Tyler,
No, Birmingham, Alabama, or
England. That was one of the guesses, right?
yeah. All right, last one. Let this rapid fire. Here we go. In Star Trek Discovery, who said the quote, "There is no telling what any one of us may do where the heart is concerned"? Is it A, Sarek, B, Saru, C, Spock, D, Gabriel Lorca?
Wait, read it again.
Okay. Same as before. Oh, out loud? Okay. The quote is, "There is no telling what any one of us may do where the heart is concerned." Is it A, Sarek, B, Saru, C, Spock, or D, Gabriel Lorca?
I think I know this one.
Kenyon Rosenberg says it's Saru, and so does Wardogheim.
That was going to be my guess.
That would be my
Medallion
guess.
says Lorca, and Chuck says Vulcan.
Wow, this is really separating people now. The nerds from the high nerds. You guys have any guess? Well, not you, Muhammad. We know you know this one. Hang on.
Well, that one I'm
get
not
to
sure. I
last.
guessed. I could be wrong.
What do you guys think, Melissa, Scott, Rico?
Well, I was gonna guess Saru.
Mm-hmm.
Same.
Scott, yeah.
Same. Yeah.
Yes,
Saru.
same.
Muhammad?
Actually, I was not going to. I was going to guess Sarek, but it seems like everybody thinks it's Saru in the chat.
It is Spock. The answer is
Oh.
Spock.
Spock.
Linda
Wow.
got
Yeah.
it right.
Wow.
The
Linda got
toughest
it right.
one was the last one. Okay.
Wow.
So
Wow.
thank you to Paramount
Well,
Plus hours of fun. This is, does it
All
even come with,
condensed.
it doesn't come with instructions. So I think we played correctly.
There you go.
There's
You
no
just
stuff.
ask and answer.
I can hear Saru saying it in my head
Sure.
too, Michael.
Yeah, I thought it was Sarek,
Yeah.
but obviously not. Half right.
Instructions are read questions
Genetically.
before answers.
All right.
That's
Well,
fine.
it's time to begin closing things out. So,
Oh,
Rico E.
Ready?
Anderson,
So,
where can everybody stalk you online? Where can they follow you?
please say follow, not stall. A lot of crazy out there. Instagram, if you have not followed me, please follow me at I am Rico Anderson. Please also follow me on Twitter at I am Rico Anderson. And also please follow me on Facebook at I am Rico Anderson. And if I could do just a quick plug also,
Yeah.
I am in 2 Halloween themed movies. One is Hallowed Ground, starring Jamie Alexander from the Thor franchise, but also stars Ethan Phillips,
Cool.
from Star Trek Voyager. And also I'm in the movie Get Gone, which is a movie that I shot 2 years ago. It's a horror psychological thriller starring myself as well as Lynn Shay from the Insidious franchise. Both can be found on Amazon Prime. It's a fun ride. And yeah, there you go. I'm done.
Awesome.
And My Little
Scott
Pony-
Baker, where can they find you and what would you like to promote today?
I'm right here. So
Oh.
here I am. I'm on Instagram at Mr. Scotty Baker. That's where it's easiest to find me. And
So if you like pictures of Steadicam rigs out in like desert locations or buildings, follow Scotty
Mhm.
Baker on Instagram.
Yeah, that's right. And you can see Fifth Passenger anywhere where they have find movies and downloadable content
Nice.
fifthpassenger.com. And
Awesome.
Good passenger people.
10 former and current Star Trek actors are in that movie. Actually, Rico and I are both in that movie as well.
Mhm.
Okay. Melissa, where can people stalk you?
Wow.
Or just walkingartmadebymelissa.com is also a good one.
Yes, I agree with Rico. Stalking is a little scary, but being a woman, stalking is a little bit scary. But you can find me on Twitter, Melissa Longo, on Instagram, Melissa Longo, Facebook, Melissa Longo, on you can
LinkedIn.
find me at the Seventh Rule often. Which is wonderful. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. Walking Art Made by Melissa. And I have a YouTube channel as well with some videos that, stuff.
Nice. Check that out. And lastly, Mohammed, tell them where they can follow you.
Sure. Thank you for not having me stalked. Yeah, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, it's all the same short thing. It's Mafnor, Michael Alpha Foxtrot, November Oscar Romeo, to use the phonetic alphabet.
Wow.
MAFNOOR. And also on YouTube, if you look for BioTrekkie Explains, it comes up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to spell that one out. That'll take too long.
Cool.
But he won't explain anything because when you ask him questions about Star Trek,
he's a true professional.
I want to keep my relationship good because I want to keep working with him.
Everybody, you can find me online. You can just Google Ryan T. Husk and find me on your preferred platform, or just at the Seventh Rule or Virtual TrekCon. Here I am in the Lower Decks shirt, Falling Tower especially. You guys have got to go subscribe to Falling Tower on YouTube. We've got over 997,000 subscribers. And this crawl to 1 million has been killing us. We've been ripping our hair out. Just go subscribe, please. Be number 1 million. And then Michael will blow you a kiss. So we're going to close out here by telling everybody what they can look forward to this week. Well, yesterday, the new episode of The Seventh Rule just dropped. We did Deep Space Nine, Season 5, Episode 20, Ferengi Love Songs, with Chase Masterson, which was a great time. This coming Thursday, the Seventh Rule will be reviewing the finale of Season 2 of Lower Decks. So that is going to be awesome. Check that out. That is Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. You can find the links for these in the description box below. Also, the Monday episode is currently out. Then on Sunday, we have Virtual TrekCon's Sunday Mini-Con again. Number 3. These things are killing it. We're going to have the Watch the First podcast. We will be watching the first Avatar, The Last Airbender, which was suggested to us by Mohammed Noor and meteorologist Katie. And our special guest.
Yesterday. It's fun.
Oh, really? Our special guest is our friend, writer, director, actor, Desmond Heck. Desmond Heck. We also have live panels like Shore Leave with Marina and Jesse. You just met Marina earlier in this. What is this, a podcast, a panel? I don't even know, live show. And it all starts with the Seventh Rules review of the quintessential Jake and Nog Deep Space Nine episodes, besides the self-sealing stem bolts one, of course, in the cards, which everybody loves.
Is that the name
now,
of it? In the cards?
Yeah, in the cards. It's awesome. Cool. Finally, everybody likes to do rewatches. They want to rewatch Next Generation, or they want to rewatch Doctor Whom. But I think we should have re-listens. Like a couple weeks ago, we said re-listen. I think you should re-listen to ABBA. Well, this week we've got a different one. All you 20-somethings out there, all you teenagers that are looking at us and going, I don't know what these old people are talking about, but I'd like to. Well, if you want to understand where we're coming from, you want to speak our language, do yourself a favor, go on iTunes or YouTube or whatever, and type in regulators. Okay. You listen to regulators or you watch that video and you will understand what we're talking about. You will identify with us. We will meet in the middle. And everybody that's already seen it, re-listen to it. Melissa, you'll love it.
Okay.
Melissa has volcanic ash landing on her right now, it looks like.
I
Yeah,
know.
totally. There's a
The
volcano
lights
erupting.
changed so much, and I'm like, okay, find the light, find the light.
I think that's it. Scott Jensen says in the cards is a legend, and we agree. So thank you very much,
Scott
Rico.
Jensen is a legend.
Scott, Muhammad, Melissa. Yeah, we call Scott Jensen Gold do Scott. Well, he calls himself that. Anyway, any final thoughts before we go?
Fun times.
Great to be here. Great to nerd out. William Shatner's going into space tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Much
point.
luck to him.
That's it. I know.
Safe.
90-year-old.
Yeah.
The oldest person to go into space.
Maybe ever.
Yeah.
Mm.
So we'll see
Maybe.
what happens.
All right, everybody. So check that out. Fingers crossed for the Shat. Have them come back safely in one piece and triumphant. And we'll all be dressed in Planet of the Apes uniforms or get-ups like those memes have been going around when he gets back.
Yes.
So thank you all very much. And, be nice to each other. And if you like Star Trek, put it on the main viewer.